How are you? On here.
Okay.
Here's the solution guide. This is the guide.
Okay.
Anything else?
Um, okay. Yeah, Jenna, can you give me 2 copies of Chef?
Yeah.
I need one for myself and one for another person, so. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I just keep forgetting. I just remember everything. Yeah. Yeah. But you don't recruit towards faculty, so if everybody gives a review, they get entered to win a book, because this is what this particular class focuses on this book versus Millionaire Real Estate Agent or one thing, so. And that's actually one I haven't actually read yet. I'm supposed to read it for a book club on Friday, so I might actually read it before Friday.
Yeah, perfect.
Haven't, well, there's a month read, so. This class, another class, and the 6-hour class I'm doing. Reading is on this. Oh, where were you right
Jennifer, what's up?
I'm on hold. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
How are you doing, or did you do with your loan officer?
Passed it at 84%, so
How
I'll be
you doing?
officially
Oh,
licensed
yeah.
on the 14th.
Let's go. So what was your best, what would you, I've been studying for about a year now. I took the class, a 3-day class, then I knocked it out in 3 days. Then I immediately took the test and I got 66 or 68 or something like that. And then I kind of just fell off. So I've been kind of here and there studying. It's just hard being busy
Yeah.
and doing a bunch of stuff. So
I made sure I put it on my schedule, the month before I scheduled to take the test on when I scheduled to take it. I put, from 7:30 to 9 every morning to study.
okay,
And I didn't hit it every morning, but it was on my schedule, so as I'm eating breakfast, basically, I should be studying.
yeah.
And my studying was either taking the practice exams or going
Like
through,
the 2 hour or the 2 hour long, hour and a half long.
I was knocking them out in 45 minutes.
Okay,
They're supposed to be 3 hours. I did the whole test in 30 minutes.
right.
So I kind of freaked out that I failed it because I got done too quick. But I just made sure I scheduled it each morning. And I had there's a guide that one of the agents in my office had given me that when she did it, and I used that. And I actually used ChatGPT to do an outline for myself. And I used
Okay.
that to kind of be my guideline as I was going through it and trying to remember each little thing. So it just took time. I'm a good test taker though, so
I
it
was
kind of
gonna
helps
say,
me
yeah.
that way.
I
But
took a couple of those tests too after I studied for a while. I was getting like 65, 70-ish.
and then you got exactly that on the test. So I would shoot for getting 85, 90s on those. And
Okay.
I was doing them like, I don't know which program you go through. Any Mac had us on. It's like NMLS mortgage, something or other.
I went through Craig, whatever Craig sent me through.
Yeah, I don't there. I think it's different, but
Okay.
we had like 6 or 8 different tests we could take, and they would tell you if you're right or wrong on some of them, and other ones were more like the actual exam. So I would alternate between them, and I would keep
Okay.
retaking them until I would get all the grades up over a 90. And then I felt like I started recognizing the questions and like anticipating what they were asking me. So
That's,
yeah, it just
was there something throughout your studying process? Was there one thing that you thought was more helpful, or is it just
it's repetition.
okay?
Because it's not stuff we use every day, and it's probably not stuff we'll ever even look at again. And
Right,
I know
same
that
thing as
because I've done
a-
too many licensing type things. So I'm like, I just have to memorize this.
Just for this test, get it in the
The
brain.
math stuff just comes naturally to me. So the math stuff I would not worry about. RMLN threw me off quite a bit.
Okay.
The terminology for that because it's just not something I'd ever like deciphered. I know what they are, but you know, like what the cap is, what the margin is, what the index is, what all the numbers meant. That threw me off a little bit. So I did some extra studying on that. And just memorizing the laws and which one oversees which thing, that type of thing is what really was hardest for me to remember.
There's a lady, Arnett, Artella, I forget. It's a black older lady. I think she passed away. I used to watch her on YouTube. Like I used to watch that video of her like nonstop, and but I don't know.
There is an outline they give you that kind of outlines everything that's on the test, at least was given to us. And
Okay.
that was helpful too, to kind of go back and make sure I touched on each of the subjects as I was studying.
You work with more buyers or sellers or what?
I'm actually even keeled right now. I used to be a lot more buyers, but I'm actually pretty even
Same.
keeled at this point.
Same.
So, which is actually surprising. It wasn't intentional, but it's just ending up that
That
way.
is exciting. Now you're gonna.
I've got one buyer waiting for me to get. She's like, I'm not doing anything until you have your license. So I sold to her before, so this will be her first investment property. So.
You're gonna. As soon as Craig brought that out, like almost 2 years ago now at this point, I knew like not only from like buyers, but when we go to the refi boom, like
Yeah, and that's what I figured. I'm like, it's a secondary stream of income. So as a teaching is going to be eventually, that's why I'm doing this next. I have to do 2 Ignite classes as part of going in, or no, just one actually. I chose to do 2. As to get into KW faculty, I have to do Ignite classes.
okay.
And then I'll be teaching 6 personal perspectives in September. That's another required course.
You're killing it. I see you out there doing a bunch of stuff, so.
And all of a sudden I got busy with real estate crap too, so I'm like, shit.
But that's a good problem to have. How's your
Just got busy.
listing? You still have it on Cleats?
We just closed that on Friday. I double dipped that one. Had an unrepresented buyer that came through and converted him to a full buyer. they're both very happy. So she's finalized a move out and she'll be out in a couple days. So yeah,
Congrats.
worked out pretty well.
Are you a West Side or you just?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
I grew up in Corey.
Okay.
I went to Corey High School, so.
Okay.
How you doing, Douglas?
Good. What's going on, brother? How are you? Good. What time did your class start?
9:30.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna send you a message. Are you stopping by the office? I forgot the charger for my computer. I don't have to today. For this class because it's on there.
Oh,
So, yeah. It was like 5 to 9. Like I have time to run to the office and back, but it just seems like a lot of running and I hate running like that. So yeah, I just rather I got here early just to relax.
Did you buy a copy of Shift?
Yeah,
How much is a year?
I have no idea. I got that one and a one for myself and one I'll give away after the second class I teach. So
You'll find your office.
yeah, I can't imagine it that much.
No, yeah.
I think Millionaire was like maybe $15-16 or something extra for the paperback.
Yeah. I'm actually-
So you were just saying, then I thought even I feel like I'm busy with keep track of kind of some basics. I already kind of did such this class is about.
Right.
So I've got a basic outline of some of the stuff in the book.
And like, the one thing I think kind of references some of the.
Yeah, they don't kind of interact with each other.
Yeah. Plus, like, after reading so much, like, he does his training and stuff. There's a lot.
He pulls a lot of the stuff into it.
Yeah. So,
So,
I mean, it's not like,
yeah.
it's more totally other territory.
It's more one that I wanted to have on hand to remind me of things that we need to think about, especially when things do get tight.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome.
How are you?
I'm good.
It's so heavy.
I know, I've got to get a new one. This one's falling apart.
I've
Been researching, like, which one I want. I think I want to go out full out, nice leather, heavy duty bag.
They're so heavy in itself, you know?
Yeah, but I'm like, it's just, I've torn up so many of these small little bags that look pretty, but aren't very
Yeah.
practical. Good morning.
I got my daughter, this Landon version doesn't have a zipper, but I got my daughter one that does have a zipper.
Just beginning canvas, I'll dirty it up so quick. I'm not one that's good with like keeping purses and stuff clean.
don't
Like
either.
I go to the thrift store, buy whatever appeals to me, and I use it until it gets an unfortunate hole in it, and then I get another one. So,
only
like,
have,
I just-
One bag.
This was given to me, and last other one I had was given to me. I've got one smaller one I carry to like appointments and stuff that just doesn't hold as much, but I'm like, this one I'm just tearing up. I just need a new laptop too, because my laptop's broken heavy.
Yeah.
So I got 3 big closings this month, so I think I might have to spoil myself and get a laptop.
You have to treat yourself then.
Yeah, I haven't done that. Well, I'm thinking of doing it Friday. I'm getting in headshots Friday.
That's
She's my favorite photographer. She's expensive, but they do hair and makeup and
Who is it?
Dakota Raccoon. She's east side out of Batavia, but I've known her through the horse world. We both have horses, and she does an amazing job.
That's great. Yeah, it's hard to find a good one.
Yeah, one that I'm comfortable with. That's hard for me. I don't like getting my picture taken.
Where do you have horses at?
I keep them out near Oxford off the Stillwell Beckett Road.
Okay.
I board them right now. Eventually, we'll have my own place, but not yet.
Oh, you board them right now?
Yeah.
I used to, there's a place in Lebanon that I used to ride at. It's called.
Yeah, a lot of them have closed down, unfortunately. It's hard to find a decent boarding place now.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, which is why we've switched 3 times in the last year, so that's why we're starting to look for a new place for our own.
Are they always closing? Is that why?
Yeah, well, one was, the owner was insane, so I just had to get out of there. And I was temporarily went to my trainer's place with it. I have a mare that I do dressage on, and then my husband has a mini.
Okay.
There's no trails at her place for a mini.
Yeah.
So we just stayed there temporarily until we could find somewhere. And we went to a place called Tid and Do, and that was sold. Then we went to a place called Fox Chapel, and they decided that turning out the horses was not a priority, and they like to close up the barn and keep them in the dark. And my mare, who has no behavior problems whatsoever, started pawing and getting anxious, so we had to get them out of there.
Yeah.
So they warned us, and I mean, it was only 165 a month, so I should not have expected much, but
Right, yeah. Yeah, we'll try it, we'll see.
yeah, it was at that point where I like, okay. But now the place that we're at, it's not ideal for everybody because they don't have like pastures with grass. It's all dry lot turnout. But for a mare that's 25 years old and a mini, it's ideal because he doesn't need grass and she doesn't need room to run.
Yeah.
She gets exercise 3 to 4 days a week. That's plenty for her. So now she is on unlimited hay, which is funny trying to do that out in the field because I had to buy a feeder that puts it up high. And now the mini goes there and strains his neck and can get a little bit of the hay out of there. But I'm like, at least he has to work.
Yeah.
Horses are fun. Always warn people that they're a lifestyle. It's not something you do on
It's not-
occasion.
it's
Yeah,
not-
it's
yeah.
something.
You have to be committed.
I mean, I've got appointments till 6:37 tonight, and I've got to be up at the barn tonight too. Or I'm paying someone to do my stalls.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to do that.
Right.
Or making my husband go do it, which isn't fair to him either, so.
Yeah, I used to work with a lady, she, with her brother, he bred everything horses.
Yeah.
So.
They definitely are.
insane kind of things. I mean, she would, but I mean, she goes around, she was helping. You know, she never rode, all right.
Next one,
They're
will
pretty.
hopefully be a Canavarian. Those are big. That's what my trainer breeds. So that's my trainer. He found me one. His name is Batman. Pure black with just a white star. He's beautiful. And it's kind of funny because my horse has a mark on her butt that looks like a Batman symbol. So I think it's kind of funny that like a good transition.
I didn't hear you on. Yeah, I'm not gonna say.
We're gonna talk about these. That's right. We'll be talking about that.
That's the homework.
Be it a medical or that's where I'm going to I remember business cards and
I have been bad about business cards.
I just assumed points.
I actually have pencils too, sharpened lead pencils.
Wow.
I love writing. I'm weird like that. And I'm particular on my pencil sharpener too. Like I had to buy a new one when I worked at an office that wasn't right. It didn't sharpen them to a true point.
Yeah.
We all have our weird things.
I had a call yesterday on a sign call about this.
You guys are supposed to have a guide. Do you not have guides? Okay, that's fine if you want it electronically. I would have thought so. If anybody doesn't have it, I can email it real quick, I think, or ask Jenna to do it.
I can forward it.
I mean, if you don't, you can just take notes, but I'll try to kind of guide you on what they say. It does refer back to the guide, the actual thing here, but there should be, there's not enough like things to write out that it should be hard to do it if you do get notes. It should be okay. But I would definitely would have paper, any paper. Sure, we can find you paper.
Oh, yeah, I've got,
I have a.
Yeah, I have something to write on. There'll be some, hopefully there's something you want to remember from this class. I'm hoping. Yeah, I don't know what went to individuals. We got everything, so we got. She's got the whole guide. I know not, you had to purchase that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I know not everybody would have done that. And I think it's
I like
great
paper.
information. So, I'm saying I'm a real, I made my own little guide for just this class because that big thing I can't hold on to and I've been taught to teach with something in my hand. this. So. And I bought my own binding machine so I could bind it where. So I wanted a spiral binder. I'm on Facebook Marketplace.
That's good.
With the binding stuff. I'll give you $40 for the machine and 2 things of the binding stuff. Okay.
Yeah. I'm always-
To buy the next size up, it's too small. So if you're looking for where to start, we're going to be on 2.1 on the bottom of your page. You take one for this class. Oh, actually, doesn't say that on there, does it?
This is embrace your.
Yeah, it says 2.2 on the next page, but section 2 embrace your job. How many of you were here yesterday? Good. So what'd you think? Good information?
Yeah,
Yeah, to start.
it's great.
Good. I am glad to hear that. I wanted to come, but it just was one of those days I had a lot to get done. So my name is Jennifer Baldwin. I am with Seven Hills, but I'm also with the Chicory Group. So I'm here on occasion, but not here every day like a lot of you probably are. Get a little clicker here so I can click through. Apparently she didn't hook it up, so give me just a second. Fairness, I didn't tell her I use the clicker and not the mouse because I don't like to sit down. All right, now let's try. There we go. As always, we're gonna go to the TCPA guidelines. I'm sure you guys have all read those. Make sure if you're making calls, you do understand what those are. Fair housing also, can spam, and AI disclaimer. These are copyrighted materials. You guys can make copies of them, but you're not supposed to share them out to other agents outside their company, that type of thing, without them being aware of it. All right. So today we're going to talk about a few different things. Sorry, get my glasses back out again. I'll get started here. All right. So, did any of you, or sorry, let me try that again. Losing my place on here already. Yesterday you discussed the value proposition of being a part of Keller Williams. And today in the second session, we're going to discuss Embrace Your Job, which is going to cover key priorities as a real estate agent and discuss what it takes to become a great agent. Before we begin, any of you have a chance to work with the success system that you would have talked about yesterday? Making your phone calls, the 10 conversations, 10 contacts, 10 handwritten notes. Anybody? All right, we'll go through that in more detail. Yes.
Well, I was just gonna say, yesterday I started to talk about the board model.
Yes.
And naturally, I was saying in class that my conversations typically go with family occupation, recreation, naturally. So I started adding dreams and to my clients today.
Cool.
They're good. They like to start conversations.
It does. That is a good model. There's another one that I heard on one of the MRE podcasts. They call it Frog, where they just take dreams and turn it into goals. For some of us, that makes a little bit more sense. So that's another idea if you are struggling. It works really well too, more in networking and agent-to-agent conversations versus maybe client conversations. So another little idea I made a note of to share with you guys. I thought like it's easy to remember too. So same. All the other ones are the same. Just G and U are different. All right, anybody else have anything to share with any phone calls or anything or contacts they tried to add since then? I know one day doesn't seem like a lot, but they want us to ask to be sure.
I got my contacts organized in command.
That actually is a big deal because
It's a major process for me.
yeah, I'm still actually in the process of doing that year in, and I've got over 700 I uploaded, and I'm weeding through to figure out what really is a good number to have in there. So yeah, that's a great thing to do. So. Thank you for sharing. Did anybody talk to an accountability partner? Anybody pick accountability partners? Kind of, okay.
It was Christmas culture. I have lots of people.
How do you feel about that? Anything you want to share about working with an accountability partner?
Well, we're still kind of figuring out like
we've said, because we're close friends.
Yeah,
Because we were like, I didn't tell you, I didn't tell you, I didn't tell you. We're like, we need like, switch it. Business that way, talk business, talk shop, and then, oh, by the way, I do go to the.
make sure you're doing the business
Yeah, so we'll.
accountability before the friendly conversation. That makes sense, yeah,
Yeah,
and I would
so-
set a time limit on it too, because, yeah,
Yeah,
personal
so we
conversation.
did like, yeah, half an hour real estate, and kind of that. Then you talk. Otherwise, okay.
Yeah, good points there, appreciate that. All right, so objectives for today, we're going to talk about applying the 6 core competencies of business, recognizing your role as a fiduciary for your clients, and reviewing the success system. I know you guys kind of touched on it, we're gonna go a little bit more into depth on that. I want you to start thinking about what you will learn today. So we're gonna consider what questions you might have and what you want to learn more about. So as you'll notice as we go through this, we're gonna ask you guys to break into groups and that type of thing quite often. It's kind of to break up the day. So if you guys want to keep going in the same group, that's great. I'm not gonna force you to, but it's always better. You guys probably all kind of know one another, but make sure if you don't know somebody, do try to talk to that person as well, okay? We're gonna have you find a partner, and I want you to have a 5-minute conversation about what questions you would like to learn more about today. Jot down those questions, and we're gonna try to make sure we address all of those. If we don't, we'll catch up at the end of the day and get back to those questions if we still have them. But we're gonna try to focus on the things we just talked about, the 6 core competencies of business, role as a fiduciary, and anything about the success system you might have questions about. So grab a partner, and you guys got 5 minutes. Do we have even numbers? Don't someone be a threesome. No, we do have even numbers. Okay, good.
Yeah, this 12.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you should. Yes. Yeah.
So, Nita, I think I'm still starting to struggle. Last week, I probably was a little bit 50 or 60 I was doing yesterday, I made my 12, that was my first grade with did a couple of conversations. So, my homework, my son was doing that. So I've been doing it. Ask for, email. I grew up in Cincinnati, I got a lot of contacts here, but people that are on class, I'm sure people that are working. A lot of those are close friends that are out of town. Problems with having people like that. I was like, for sure, there's most of the product connections. So I don't think it's hard to
About 1 minute left, so make sure you're writing down some of these questions so we can make sure we come back to them. with.
Right.
So like my group is starting with my houses. So I get my first estimate, and then start tapping calls that I have. Like I said, I don't think. But you gotta figure it out.
All right, you guys, let's wrap this up and gonna have a couple groups share. If you want to share a couple of their questions, I'd appreciate it. It always hurts to get interrupted. I know it's a great conversation, but you will get to talk again, I promise. Does anybody want to share some of the questions they have for today?
We'll share.
All right.
I want to know more about, I talked with a few people at the street group and they always talk about schedules during the day. So like, okay, how are you setting your schedules? Like, are you honestly beginning in the morning? Do you come back to that at the end of the day? Like, setting times.
Okay.
Just making sure you're getting everything done. How you organize that. And
So like guidelines on a schedule with defined actions.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we thought,
Social media. Dive into that.
We won't do that as much,
Yeah.
but there is, I will tell you, there is a social media, class number 8 is talking about capturing leads, so I would definitely make sure you get onto that one. Yeah, but, because that's not one we'll touch on a lot today. But I want to point that out, that it is a class that will be held later. Anybody else want to share a couple of questions they have?
Yeah, I was more or less like, we get along and have all the questions. Good. At least with me, I saw him great for job and find out the problem. So at least I'll miss it right now. Speed wise,
Exactly. Yeah, it's always good to get some more ideas. I mean, I've been doing this, I don't even know if I want to admit, 17 years now, and there's still things on there. So it's always good. So don't think just because you're a new agent, you're be doing it wrong, or a newer agent, there's always new things to learn. So I think these classes are good for everybody. So maybe basic ideas, but you may pull out something you hadn't thought about before. So it sounds like a lot of you are more interested in the scheduling part of it, and we'll make sure we focus a little bit more on that as we get through that. So if you're following along, we are on 2.2 for the participant guide. All right, so what about being a real estate agent excites you guys the most? Why did you get into this business? If you listen to the MRE podcast, that's what they ask at the beginning of every single one. What got you into real estate? Anybody want to share? How about someone that has it? It's good. Why did you get into real estate? And share your name as you do. I know your name, but that way it's going to help me remember everybody's. If you guys kind of say your name as you start. I'm poor with names, so I'm trying. Travis, yes.
before I was in real estate, I was in a situation, I lived out in an apartment, lived for 600 months.
So that's really cheap and ugly.
Yeah. So I had 2 months to find a place. I've been using the family. So I was already stressed with this person. I need to find work. Not knowing who they are. Escrow is escrow. In like 30 minutes, most stuff at the end of my last career. I want to do something. My experience.
Actually, common theme, like I kind of binged like the whole 93 episodes of MREA because I never listened to them before, and that was actually a very common theme. Was I had a bad experience and I knew I could do it better. done that, or I wanted to do it better. So yeah, that's good to share. Anybody else want to share that hasn't yet? Peyton, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I heard you said the other Peyton, so I'm like, so it stuck in my head that I heard you say that, so. Yep.
No, I just love the relationships. I mean, I said this yesterday, but I came from dental, so making those relationships super easy to, but like, you know, like.
Maintaining it.
Over time, like, you know,
Probably easier to understand when they don't have people in their mouth. too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's always interesting to hear why people got into the business. So, sorry, going back and forth between this is it's still new to me. So I do just give me a little grace here. Having a career in real estate can be extremely rewarding. I've been doing it a long time. I absolutely love it. Being an agent gives you an opportunity to support someone in making one of the most important decisions of their life, build relationships with others, and live a big life. I know if you listen to Gary Keller, anything he does, he talks about living a big life quite a bit. Behind the big results of any big successful real estate are daily activities and habits. The steps are small, but they all lead back to a big life for you. We're going to talk about day-to-day activities of all successful real estate agents, otherwise known as the 6 core competencies of a business, which come from the Gary Keller and team book called Chef. This is the book. Has anybody read this yet? So as a little bride, part of getting on KW faculty is I have to have reviews. So I teach this class and another class at the end of the month. If you do a review, you'll get entered in this book. So that'll come up with the QR code about halfway through this. The 6 core competencies of a business are the priorities you must focus on as you run and grow your business. Incorporating the 6 core competencies in your business activities can lead to your success as an agent and business owner when implemented at a high level. So I know that's a lot of words all at once, but basically we're talking about if you talk to any successful real estate agent, that someone that is consistently successful, consistently doing a lot of business, they're going to have a system in place. And it's going to encompass some of these competencies in some way, shape, or form. So it is true, and anybody you talk to who says otherwise, I'd be shocked. Because they may have to dig a little bit, but they're going to have something in. We're in 2.3, anybody that's following along. So welcome to your new job. You have a new sales career. Anybody that's a newer age, I know some of you are more experienced, but some of you are brand new. You are an independent business person, and it's important to understand what the components of your job are going to be. Essentially, you are it. There's an appropriate saying that says, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. In your participant guide, you'll see there are 6 core competencies of a business listed, which come directly from Shift. Get to that right one for you. So here they are here for you. They're lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. So no shock there, right? Present to buyers and sellers to get agreements. Show buyers and market sellers. Write and negotiate contracts. Coordinate the sale to closing. Probably the one that most of you probably haven't thought about yet, especially if you're newer, is manage the money. So that's an important one as well. You got to make sure you're doing everything that has to do with getting your paycheck and not just spending it. We've reviewed the overall path of Ignite. You'll see that we will cover all of the competencies and we'll build on each one as we go. Running a successful business involves engagement of all 6 of these activities. So in this one, we're going to kind of outline some of these activities. We'll get into a little bit more on your success system. But I would encourage all of you as much as you can to attend as many of these classes as you can, because it's going to continue to build on each one of these as you go through it. I know 9:30 to 11 every morning seems like a lot, but it really is going to be a lot of information you guys will be taking away from here. The first competency is going to be your first priority. After all, if you have no leads, you're not going to have any business at all. I'm sure you've heard that several times as we've gone through your training. You must have leads to sustain a thriving business, which is what you signed up for. So we're going to break it down for you. You will learn, and it'll be repeated over and over again. Your number one job, despite what anything you've heard about real estate, is going to be lead generation. It's a daily practice of talking to people that are thinking about buying and selling real estate. Sounds pretty simple when you say it that way, right? Capturing and obtaining accurate contact information. That is their name, their phone number, email, home address, and any other data a person is willing to divulge. Capture also means adding new people to your business database so you can converse with them and provide value. Does all that make sense? So it's not just about talking to people. When you're doing that, you've got to keep that information. You've got to retain that information in some type of database in order to be able to refer to it later. Another important component of lead generation and capture is that you ask for permission to stay in contact with each person. You'll learn more about the importance of this step as we explore lead generation later in Ignite. But that's something that might not occur to you, but when you actually ask somebody, when you're talking to them on the phone, can I call you back? We have another conversation. You're making that expectation you're going to, but also making sure you've got permission to do so. It does lead to a lot more conversation in the future. And finally, you need to convert to an appointment. Capturing leads is wonderful. However, the ultimate goal is to find active buyers and sellers and set an appointment to meet and agree to work together on buying or selling real estate. So you can have all the conversations in the world, but if you don't have appointments, you're not going to sell real estate. Make sense? Remember, even though we are learning and building on each new skills we advance through the entire course of Ignite, this is why it's important to attend every session and complete the course. I know that's hard, but make an effort. I think it's definitely worth it. So, any questions? We will dig into this more, but any questions so far about what's on there? Anything mind blowing about that? Yeah, it does. It's definitely, it opens up that door that says, hey, this isn't a one-time conversation. I'm going to keep calling you back. So I do. It's good thing to say. I would think about how I'd word it. So when I do lead gen, I kind of always have a script in my mind of if I'm going to leave a message, what I'm going to say, so that I make sure if I'm going to say something like that, I'm going to make sure I know exactly how I'm going to word it when I say it, so it doesn't come off as awkward. But yeah, basically like, hey, I'm leaving you a message now. If I don't hear from you, I'm calling you again, but I don't want to come across as aggressive. So even though most of my friends know, I would say that and they think it's fine. So.
Do a second contact. Real estate.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too. Yeah, I'll follow up with a quick text that says, hey, I left you a message, but this is, kind of what it's about. And then like my husband never checks voicemail.
Yeah.
So, and I won't guarantee missing leads to either. All right, so second one is present to buyers and sellers to get agreement. So we do our lead gen, then we get to talk to buyers and sellers.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course, yeah.
It says convert to appointments.
Mhm.
One of our questions was, so that get an appointment, what am I getting an appointment for?
Depends on what their need is.
Okay.
So you'll go through and we'll do a little bit of role play a little bit later on. You go through the questions, the 4 questions, you'll find out if they have a need. You're going to ask for the appointment to talk about whatever that need is. It is real estate related.
Okay.
So when they indicate they're having a new baby and the house is feeling small and we're thinking we want a pool now, but the yard's too small for that. I'd love to talk about that more. How about we get together next week and we go over what you might be thinking about doing in the next couple of years? Okay. Whatever it might be, you have to ask for that time to meet with them to set that appointment.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes, because everyone's like appointments, and I'm like, find that appointment.
Yeah, Doug, do you want to? Doug's really good at it too.
Or not, just think it's, in this context, I think it's between, listening consultation, so like Jennifer said, if they're actually more towards selling their house or, depending on the lead source, if that's in their house or family or friend. Ideally, you're trying to get a buyer consultation to get executed, exclusive buyer representation unit or meet their house or wherever to get signed exclusive right to sell contract. Or if you're an investor, that's still listing contract or a buyer contract, just that's inside. And that's worth for. Why do you want to buy? What's important about buying 10 rental properties?
So would you expect that appointment, if you call somebody, let's assume they're in your circle, but on the outer circle, sure. Okay? And they mention, yeah, maybe we're going to be, out of the house, whatever. And you're like, exposing the property. Yeah. Are you going from that zero phone call to let's sign a buyer's agreement? I mean, is there any dating in between there?
It all depends. I'm a little more, like I'm a stroller, so like my personality is so different than someone like, you know, Steve Tyler, he's like a business specialist. Our personalities are way different. He's a little more on the aggressive side. He may try to both that. I would probably do, you know, 1 or 2 more check-ins. That's just my personality. Like everyone's kind of different.
So I can be a little bit more aggressive, but I will always be prepared to sign the buyer's agreement, but not necessarily push on them. I'm going to feel out how they're actually feeling.
So I'm just trying to make this plan, so I'm done and events this, but sure, so it's like more of a curiosity appointment to figure out where they are in the stage, and then you adjust your, what's it called, dating style to that person.
Yeah.
And then for the next step to get to the end.
I always try to match them here. So if I'm working with a lot of times like lawyers, engineers, architects, more like the analytical information decision. I'll might show up with paperwork.
Sure,
or the
yes, of
options.
course.
But if it's someone like myself, kind of like an I personality, I'll bring the paperwork. I won't put pressure. And if I hear on the phone call, you know, say, "Well, let's check back in maybe in a month or so." I'm actually going to put a reminder 2 weeks, so I'm going to put that time back. And if someone says check back in 6 months, 3 months ago. So I think as you get more and more into the tool, you'll be able to recognize that. Yeah, anytime you need someone, I would have just on hand my briefcase or
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Always have it with you.
Always
You never know where it's going to lead to.
Yeah.
Because I had one appointment recently. It was basically about listing one of his rental properties, and he's throwing a commercial property and 100 acres at me. At the same time, I wasn't prepared for it. I took notes, and now I'm doing the research on it. So just kind of got to roll with it as it happens.
Yeah.
So it's good questions though. That answers probably questions for other people too. I see her shaking her head like, it's one thing you learn in this business. It's kind of, you just got to be prepared and not be afraid to say if you really don't know the answer. It's okay not to know. But don't ever try to act like you do know if you really don't, because you will get caught, and it's embarrassing. I'm speaking from experience. Yes, I've done it. Been there, done that. Don't do it. So that kind of leads into the next step. Now we've got the appointment. What do we do when we're there? This is the second core competency. It's about your skill during the appointment with the buyer and the seller. You're going to be presenting to buyers, which means going through a buyer consultation document. So you should have something. You should have an outline of what you're going to talk about during an appointment, which outlines the entire buying process and all the steps you will take to assist the buyer in the process. You also address any questions or concerns the buyers have at that time. I think that's probably the biggest part, is you're going to have what you want to present to them, but make sure you're listening to what they're asking. Because you may have an engineer that wants the facts, or you may have a Doug that wants a little bit more explanation, a little bit more conversation around it. To make sure you're really adjusting what you're telling them to what they want to hear. Because if you give an engineer a big, long, flowing, flowery story, they're going to find another agent. So just make sure you're really paying attention to those cues in the conversation. If you've never done a DISC assessment, even if you've never done one, you may want to look up how to talk to people of different personality types. It's really helpful to understand that. Because I can be a very forceful personality, but I have adjusted to talk to people that are not, because I work really well with it. A lot of my clients are engineers, doctors. We work really well together. If the artsy hippie types, I have a little bit harder time doing that. I've got to really slow myself down for this. So it's really harder for me to do that. Presenting to a seller is actually very similar. You're going to go through your listing presentation document with them, which is going to outline the entire selling process, including the marketing you will provide, along with the steps you take to assist them in the sale of their house. The expected outcome of each of the presentations to your client, whether it's a buyer or a seller, is a signed exclusive agreement to work with you. I know that's a lot to think about, but signing a listing agreement doesn't mean they're going active that day. Years ago, back in the old days, when you sign a listing agreement, you only had 3 days to make the house active, or you had to have a couple other documents in place in order to be able to do that. Delayed entry was what they were called. Nowadays, you can sign a listing agreement and hold on to it as long as you want to, as long as it's not a coming soon. Buyer agreement doesn't make they're going to work with you right that second, but it just means if they do buy, they're going to buy with you. So you could really, it's not as high pressure to get them to sign it, but the idea is coming out of that appointment, you should have something, some type of agreement.
How long do you set the buyer agreements for?
It depends on the buyer, because I will always go exclusive. I do not like property specific agreements. They're a waste of time. I have used them on certain occasions. I have not had a choice, but very bare minimum is 3 months. Very bare minimum. And that is just a buyer that doesn't really know me yet. And that's with the intention of extending it within that first month to be a full year. Because it's those ones that just, they want to go see something, they're pre-approved, but they don't know me well enough yet to want to agree to work with me long term.
So, you do 3 months.
With-
For a year.
With the idea in my head that I'm going to get them to change that date to be a longer term if I don't have them already on the contract.
So you go up to a year.
Yeah, I want a year on all of them if I can. If they know me, I'm putting a year on there. If it's somebody new that doesn't know me well enough, I'll do a little bit less time on
So you just do your company like until that date.
that. No, I just do a year out.
Year from whatever that date is.
And if, what I found is just like sell that easier, it's like, I'll say, you know, Mr. Buyer, your price point, we're probably looking at new construction, like, let's say for 400,000 up. I say sometimes it takes 6 to 9 months to build. I'm gonna be real for 12 months, just to be safe. We could, you know, identify a property, like 6 or 7 months out, and I'll still, you know, have it. Do all the fiduciary obligations that we sell. I have not had very much, push back on. Now, some really trepidatious, like, okay, let's do 6 months, but.
Yeah. And same with the listing agreement. I mean, it takes time to market and list a property. I won't do under 6 months with the listing agreement. It's cost us money to list them.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm paying for photography, I'm marketing it. If they don't want to at least give me 6 months to sell it, then is it really worth my time? Probably not. I've taken it. I consider it a challenge, and I'm competitive enough that it's just gonna make me work a little harder, but I wouldn't do it intentionally. I'm not gonna lie, I mean, who wants to turn out a listing? As long as I know that they're gonna price it reasonably and work with me, if I know they're overpriced and they want a short term, I have walked away, yes. I've actually walked away from an investor completely that didn't know how to price a listing. And I was actually selling them, I think it was 14 houses total. When they went to resell, they were crazy, and I don't sell for them. And I still get a notification every time I sell my properties. Not with me. Oh, it's sometimes you just gotta choose for your own sanity. So, not easy to do. If I say you're a real agent, you can fire that first client. Probably have it on. I don't know if I can do it because I don't have the. I think I unhooked the mouse. Hold on. Oh, that's not it. Yeah, because I can't plug in the clicker with the mouse plugged in too. If someone can, yeah, I guess I can't hear if they're out there. But yeah, if you don't mind texting her, asking her to come take a look at it. Just, it went. All right. Any questions on that? I think there were some good questions along the way there. Any other questions? Loving this, you guys. Third competency, showing buyers and marketing listings for sellers. I think it's cool how they're combining these because it's the same basic ideas of what you're doing. This is the work part. This is you've got the agreement, now you're going to work. For buyers, it's going to be setting up showings. Showing buyers is all about understanding the needs of the buyer and selecting houses for them to experience with you. This cannot be emphasized enough. When you're working with buyers, if you're out there showing them 30, 40 houses, it's a waste of everybody's time. I think it's really, if I go through showing them houses more than 3 to 4 times and they're not putting an offer in on a house, it's one thing if they're just getting beat out constantly. That's going to be talking about how to work an offer with them again. So that's one conversation you're going to have. If they're making offers and not getting the house, They probably need to be talked to about how to make that offer better, how to win in multiple offers. If you're showing them 30 or 40 houses and they're not putting an offer in, then there's a whole nother conversation is, what do you really want to buy? Obviously, we're missing the mark here because we should not be looking at that many houses before buying. My goal is 2 to 3 times out. I don't want to just go run around for weeks at a time showing houses. If I can nail down what they're looking for, as long as we can find that house, we shouldn't be running around constantly. There is going to be that buyer that wants something really unique, but are we going to show them houses that don't meet their criteria? Not unless we found out that they've changed their criteria for some reason. So I know we use a thing where we nail down what are your top 3 things that you want in a house. Then we make them take one away. Then we make them take another one away so we can figure out what their top priority is in their house. That's helpful. And if I find I'm showing them houses for longer than I want to, then I'm going to revisit that and see if those priorities have changed for some reason. And most of the time you're going to find out something changed. And by asking them that, you're going to reset their priorities and you're going to give them a better experience. Because honestly, when they start seeing that many houses, their head's spinning too. And they probably got that one house that they saw that first time out that's still on their mind. And there's something about that house that they wanted to see. Nothing else, check and make sure that house actually sold. Maybe it didn't sell. Maybe they still have a chance at that one that's still on their mind. Or maybe they need to up their price range. Maybe they can and they didn't want to before, but they need to up their price range to meet what their criteria really is. So to me, it's understand what your buyer truly needs is very, very important. Saves us all a lot of headaches. Yes. Yeah, I went through that very quickly. It's something that TCG does it. It's part of our buyer consultation, and I love it. So we have them name 3 priorities. And then we have them ask them which one of these, if you had to give up one of these, which one would it be? And they name one of them. After they do that, then we say, okay, if you had to give up another one, which one would you give up? That one that is the absolute has to be. Yeah. Yeah. And then you put them in order, then you know that they're number 1, 2, and 3 priority. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's very helpful. Yeah, I like it a lot. So marketing with sellers translates into marketing their house in the best possible way and via the most channels to ensure that as many potential buyers as possible see it and are interested in it. So what does that translate to for you guys? Number 1, really good photographs. If you don't have pretty pictures, it's gonna be really hard to get people to come in. And whatever else marketing you choose to do. Like, I'm not going to dictate to you what marketing you should do. It's going to be up to you what you feel it needs to be done for that house. You're not going to do the same marketing for a piece of land that you're going to do for $1 million house. It doesn't require the same marketing. But you need to be sure that you're always marketing to whatever needs to be done. And a big part of that is understand what your seller expects too. Do they want a coming soon? Do they want multiple open houses? Someone asked me about my listing in Cleves. There's a guy that was in here, he left. That one wanted no open houses. Beautiful listing. They wouldn't let me just send an open house on it. I think it hurt her. I think we would have sold quicker with an open house. But sometimes they don't want them and they've got the reasons why. Did I ask multiple times? Of course I did. But her answer was always no. So you got to understand what they want and what their expectations are. Actually, the person that will be helping you with that will be Doug. He's going to be winning with sellers. It's going to be the class he teaches. So that's, yeah. Because I know it's towards the end of the month, I couldn't remember which day it was. Figured you would remember though. All right. So next competency is write and negotiate contracts. So we're going to cover this very briefly. Obviously, you're going to want to go through this in more detail. And just so you know, RAGC does put on a complete class on writing contracts. It's actually coming up later this month. It was in the email that went out this morning. So if you're interested in taking the full 3-hour CE class on writing contracts, it is coming up this month. Highly recommend it. It's very detailed. It's taught by Sue Price. Very good teacher. She does a very good job at it. Fourth competency is writing and negotiating contracts. This is a big responsibility and one that many new agents are concerned about and anxious about completing their first contract and doing it accurately. Negotiating is another competency that requires practice, calm, and a win-win mindset. Remember that win-win is one of KW's beliefs. Win-win or no deal. And that's something they do take seriously. We don't want a bunch of negativity. I actually have a cheat sheet on here because I know all these little acronyms that Keller Williams likes. I figured there'd be someone in here to try to catch me on not knowing that acronym, so I had a cheat sheet, but no one's called me out on it yet, so. Writing and negotiating contracts is gonna be a big deal for every one of you. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. But it is probably one of the hardest things that you'll do and one of the most important things that you'll do. It makes you look professional. You do it correctly and accurately. The other side won't care how long you've been licensed because if it looks good, we're gonna assume you know what you're doing. Figured it's one of those things that it drives me nuts when someone can't fill out a contract completely. It's very, very frustrating on the other side when you know something right. One of the other classes that I love to teach, and is actually the first one I wrote completely from scratch on my own, is I've got an addendums class that I teach. I taught it here just as a regular class. I'm teaching it as CE tomorrow afternoon at the board. So that one I go through all the addendums you can put on the contract. Thank you. We've already got 25 people signed up for it. I haven't had that many signed up since I did ethics right before it was due. So I'm like, huh. I had to unclose the mouse because I needed to plug in the clicker
Oh, no, that's fine.
and I didn't know how to click to let
Oh, no,
somebody
that's
in, so sorry.
When you teach that class?
Tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock.
Here?
No, at the board
Oh,
in Sharonville, yeah. I'm the chairperson for professional development, at the board also. I teach out there as well. They pay me out there, they don't pay me here yet. They do if I teach CE, but I haven't taught CE here yet, so. All right, so any questions about that? I know there'll be a lot of questions about writing contracts, that type of thing. Basically, it's take as many classes as you can. I know Sue teaches classes here, or Susan teaches classes here. If you can take it, do so. The more you learn about writing a contract, the more you understand it, the better you'll do. Negotiating, whole other skill level. Just listen to other people, how they negotiate. Biggest thing I ever learned in negotiation is just be quiet. Take a breath. It's amazing how much just stepping back and letting the other side think about what they're asking for helps a lot. That's biggest tips I can give you just off the top of my head, but negotiating is really just understanding what both sides really want. Do they really want to close or are they just being difficult? Like sometimes they do want to close, sometimes they just want to end the contract. If that's the case, then let's just end it and move on. But understand really what is the end goal on both sides. So
I just want to well, we just but I always do it. I love it. It's a super skill. And
It is.
It's like you just say what you want, you sit back and you're like,
and use car salesmen too, that's for that. They will talk themselves in circles and they'll end up exactly where you want. It's hilarious. Especially when you're female, for some reason they think we don't know anything. Mhm.
Just sits there like she's gonna do her thing. You are gonna I don't know what you're doing, but just hear what she wants to say. Yeah. So many.
Yep, it's fun. And we are in 2.6 at this point for anybody following along. Fifth competency is about getting the deal all the way to closing. Where the buyer gets the keys to their house and the seller releases the home to the buyer, and best of all, you get paid. So this is all of our goals in the end, is to get paid in the end. Keep in mind that not all deals will make it to closing. Probably the hardest realization as you become an agent is that not everything is meant to close. And it can happen for a variety of reasons. It takes skill, and this is why it's one of the core competencies. So any thoughts on that? So what are the biggest things once you get under contract, why you think it would fall apart? Inspections is probably the number one reason. And appraisals, yeah, are the other one. So that's, I love to, I set that expectation. So I tell them the number one reason things will fall apart is because of inspections. Number two reason is going to be appraisal. Number three reason is financing. So let's address all those up front. What are you need to know ahead of time? What are you willing to do on inspections? These are the top 5 things we look for on inspections. Appraisal, we just gotta wait and see what comes back, but I will give them comps. I will make sure we try to get that appraisal where we need it to be. When it comes to your financing, so your best friend going through this is gonna be me and your loan officer. We ask for something, you give it to us, because that's the only way we're gonna get this financed. So that is a real conversation I have with every client.
The flip side to that too, that you got active buyers, you know, out of the stats and contracts on our now are about 25%. So I've got a really active buyer, so let's say it's a competitive area, or whatever. I'll say, you know, let's get a backup offer. I heard, so I can shop road homes and then, knowing that contracts people are as a spend the property or the market deposit.
And it gives you sound more competent, because I guarantee you, if they work with another agent, and maybe the agent that's been licensed a lot longer, they probably never suggested that. And we talk about it in the class I teach, people don't use backup offers, and I don't understand why. It's a very, very good thing to put in place. And that's something you're not familiar with, something you should be familiar with, is how to write a backup offer. And it does, so you know, it requires a full signed contract. It's an addendum to a purchase contract, but it can put you in a position where your offer could become the accepted offer if the first offer falls apart. So it's a very good negotiation.
Does the listing agent have to accept, I've seen it in some listings where it's like now accepting backup offers, accepting, do they have to accept them, or is it like they always have to accept? I mean,
Oh, it's completely up to them, and sometimes they won't, but some listing agents don't understand they actually have to fully sign that backup offer.
Yeah.
So maybe you helping them to understand that in a nice, polite way, that they have to sign that full contract, and that the backup is an addendum to that contract.
I've got actually a success case study. My investor and I lost out on an offer. I said, well, you know, we go back up, see what they wanted it. So let's just said, okay, yeah, so the backup. They never executed it. I had a feeling, again, despite calling the agent, letting them still leads, I had a feeling the contract they had wasn't too stable. Lo and behold, 2 days later, that fell out. Well, now they wanted to, like, hey, we're still accepting backups. So we resubmitted at a lower price. And actually got accepted for lower. Had she had a listing accepted our initial backup, it would have been 5,000 higher.
But yeah, that was on that agent. If they had accepted it, then that offer would have automatically fallen into place, and they wouldn't have been able to renegotiate. So that agent technically cost their client $5,000. But yeah, so that's good things to keep in mind. All right, so sixth and final one, which is probably the one, if I had you guys guess what the 6 things were, you probably would not have guessed manage the money as being one of the ones, because we don't always think about that. And I gotta be honest with you, probably the first 10 years I was in business, didn't do a whole ton of business either. When I first got licensed, my youngest was 3 months old. So until they were in school full time and a little bit more independent, I didn't do a whole lot of business. But managing money is very important. You should learn, which I didn't, but believe me, you should learn from day one that your paycheck, when you get it closing, is not to be put in your pocket and just spent. You're going to have expenses that you'll have to pay, and ever-present taxes that must be saved for and paid every quarter. Do encourage you to look at paying quarterly payments. There is a KWU course. If you're not familiar with KWU University yet, great. There's wonderful courses on there called Profitability. It's agent financials. Most likely it'll be offered at a regional or national level. I'm not sure, I didn't look into it to see where it's being offered, if it's being offered as an actual class or if it's just an online class. But when you get a paycheck, just understand that you're going to have things coming up. I was a manager at one point. I was shocked the number of agents that were surprised when they had dues to pay. You know when they're coming. If you don't, please talk to somebody to help you understand it, but you know when your dues are going to be paid. You know when you have to renew your license. If there's other things you need to do, marketing, that type of thing, you need to budget for it. It shouldn't be a surprise. Your business owners now, writing a budget, sticking to a budget should be something that's a priority. I know right now you may not have an income, but eventually you will. And you need to understand how to write a budget for someone who's only getting a income on an occasion, not on a regular paycheck. So if you're not sure how to do that, plenty of sources out there to do it. My favorite is Dave Ramsey, but I know a lot of people don't like him because he doesn't like credit, but he does do a great budgeting idea. So
I would say at our CPA, everybody thinks they can do their own taxes, self-employed. They can save you so much money.
I love my
I
CPA.
love my CPA.
She loves me because I'm very anal and I put everything in spreadsheets, and she loves that. But
If you're a minority, that's business laws.
this helps for I think 7 years, my business offered at that loss.
Yeah.
All right. So mindset matters. It's like, mindset's probably one of my favorite things in real estate because it really is just one of those things that it's kind of funny how little changes in your mindset can really affect your business day to day. And it's something I can see walking in the office. You can see when some people are in a good mood and a productive mood versus when they're not. Half the time it's music that's playing in our office. You can tell when someone's in a rough mood. We get to pick our music, but there's an essential component to our to this job, and it's our mindset. Your mindset each and every day. We talked about mindset on day one, or you guys talked about it. I didn't teach it. And you've got the KW belief system along with the 6 personal perspectives to keep you strong. If you guys have not done anything with 6 personal perspectives, they did touch on it in day one. I'm doing the full class September 24th. It is a 6-hour class. So it's like a full day class. It will be really interesting. Doug will be teaching it too. He hasn't decided when yet, but it's something we'll both be teaching. It is required to teach it, and there's a reason they picked that one. Very interesting class. What I've gotten into in the curriculum so far, it's a very good class. It's something I think every agent would enjoy learning. Do you guys remember any of those 6 personal perspectives you talked about yesterday? I've got them listed here if you don't. Do they have them on here? No, they don't. Okay. Commit to self-mastery. Commit to the 80-20 principle. Move from E to P. You guys remember what that was? Entrepreneurial to purposeful. Thank you. That one just like went like off my head for a second there. Make being learning based on the foundation of your action plan. Remove limiting beliefs and be accountable. Does that kind of ring a bell? Things we touched on yesterday. The limiting beliefs one is probably one of my favorite ones. That's one I'm excited to teach because that's one that I think all of us don't realize we have. So something I have myself. So, any of those stick out on you on something that you're like, cool, kind of fun? Anybody remember this from yesterday?
80-20 was new to me yesterday.
That's a good one.
20% of your effort turns out to 80% of your results.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think your 20% is?
Right now, lead gen, calling on contacts, building a spirit.
Yeah. Right now and always.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's yeah, you'll actually see it if you're ever in the TCG office in the morning, it'll say we're in our 20%, and they put it on the door. That's what that means. Is start doing our lead gen time. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
And on mindset too, I've been reading the Brokey Real Estate Agent.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Mentions in that book, I think today, really, he mentions Carol Dweck's growth mindset, which is great read.
There's some really great books out there. It's I've enjoyed reading quite a bit of them. And if you're not a big reader, most of them are done on just audibles too, so you can listen to them when you're in the car. So it's important to keep your mindset programmed to success and continue to believe in yourself. I know that can be hard a lot of days, but it is important to do that. There may be days when you feel less accomplished and you'll need to be able to pull yourself up and keep going. And the way you can do that is you maintain a mindset of being focused on service, which might sound a little weird, but trust me on this. Adopting a mindset and a philosophy of contributing to the lives of other people allows you to be direct and to the point in your interactions with others. With a focus on contribution and being of service, you'll communicate more effectively with customers and win their hearts and minds effortlessly. That makes sense? When you're asking what you can do for them, you're going to win them over quicker than when you're asking them what they can do for you. Energy, enthusiasm, and a deeply rooted belief in doing the best job possible for each and every customer attracts people to you. Take every opportunity to educate people in your personal, professional, and social life about what you do and how you can help them. These reminders for people in your network can lead to many, many referrals for business. So it doesn't mean like every time someone says, how's the real estate market doing, you go into like a big sales spiel about it. But when people are talking about real estate, be knowledgeable, talk to them about it, enjoy what you're doing. And you'll be surprised how that will draw people to starting to give you business. Lots of fun. Any questions on mindset so far?
evolve your mindset, I guess change it as they go. Like, I feel like I've slowly added, it feels like I've gotten better with this, or that I've talked about this, but now I keep on this, like, I grows, or you like.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's easy to say that, come in and be positive. Is it easy to do every day? It's not. No, I mean, there's days where you're gonna feel down and it's gonna be harder and harder to do it, but there's little tricks you'll learn to make it a little bit easier. So like they say, if you're talking on the phone, if you smile, you're gonna come across more positive. And it sounds silly and you look silly if you're sitting on the phone going like, but when you're smiling, it's harder to be naked. If you're up and moving, it's harder to feel down. I love that, like the desk we have, I can stand up and move around when I'm talking on the phone because I'm not one that likes to sit still. So it's nice that I can do either one when I'm doing it. But is there days you feel down? Of course there is. But if you got to vent and do it, it's like what does the one thing say? Like, or is it the let them theory? Like let it bother you for 5 minutes and then let it go.
That's kind of 5 minute, Peter says a 5 minute part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's-
they
Yeah, it came from somewhere. I couldn't remember who it was, but yeah, one of those. Let it bother you for 5 minutes and let it go. It's hard to do. Maybe like bother me for 5 minutes now and 5 minutes later. Like some managers in my offices learn, like sometimes I need to vent and complain and get it off my chest, and then I'm fine. Once I let it out, I'm done. But it's mindset is a big thing, but it's not always easy. So we talk about like if you want to do a sport, you want to get good at basketball or baseball. We all know we got to train. We're not going to go out there and be good at it the first time we do it. You may have some natural ability, but to stay good at it, you're going to have to train. What we don't realize is in business, you have to do the same thing. It's not going to come naturally to everybody. And even if you're naturally good at some things, you may not be good at everything. You may be great on the phone, but you may really suck at putting all that information into your database afterwards. So you may have to train yourself to do that. So it's the same idea. I know that sounds weird to train yourself in business, but it is. It's the same exact mindset. That's why a lot of athletes are actually very good at business type things because they understand that it takes steps to do it. It's not all going to come at once. All right, so we're going to discuss some realities about being a real estate agent. I'm sure you want to hear lots of realities. How long on average do you think it takes a buyer or seller to sign a contract on a sale or listing? From the first time you talk to them, how long do you think it takes for them to actually sign that first contract? 60 days. She says 60. Any other guesses? You opened your mouth to say something. 1 to 60 days. You were right. Up to 60 days is what the average is. But yeah, 90 is actually not a bad guess. If you really look at from the very first time, it may be closer to 90. So it depends on how much time you put into lead generation every day and how many appointments you go on to obtain signed contracts. So the more effort you put into it, you can cut that time down. But it does take an average of 1 to 60 days for that contract to get signed. So how long do you think it takes for a transaction to close and for you to get paid after that contract is signed? This one should be a little bit easier to guess. How long does a closing take from a contract signing? 30 to 60 is probably a little bit more realistic, and that's if it's resale, not new construction. New construction, you're looking at minimum, well, if it's already built, not too bad, but you're looking at 6 months up to 2 years for new construction, depending on if it's like a Fisher home type thing, or if it's custom, you'd be looking at a couple of years. So, so basically it comes down to how quickly do you want to get paid and how long can you go without a payday? I know those are harsh words, but it's something going in this business you've really got to keep in mind. So, that's why there's a lot of dual career agents. There's agents that have, I was lucky to have a supportive spouse that was able to carry the burden of our financial stuff while I got my business up and going. But for the first 5 or 6 years, I did work a part-time job. So you do have to think about that going into this business. So it can't be stressed enough how important it is that you develop your skills in these areas so that you can get paid and be successful in this business. So things you have to do, lead generate every day. Not something you do once a week, something you do on the weekends. Lead generation should happen every single day. You've got to build your database of contacts. Whether you're someone that knows a lot of people now or does not, you still have to build that database up. You have to communicate with people about real estate every single day. You have to commit to go out on a lot of appointments. So it's not just saying I'm gonna settle them, it means actually committing to it and making it happen. And you have to practice your conversations to get better and do that every day as well. Sounds like a lot, but this is, I mean, if you're in business, this is what you do. So there's a quote that was brought up yesterday, from Gary Keller. It says, anyone can do it, not everyone will you? And I think that is the difference that comes down to is that a good real estate agent comes from someone that's willing to commit and actually work the business every day of their lives. I'm not saying don't take a day off. Please take time off. That's not what we're meaning here. Maybe you say every day. It's business days. If you have a weekend day, you can take off. A weekday, you take off. It's doing it when you're working your business, and doing these things every day. You're working your business. If you want to be a successful agent, this is the stuff you have to do. Does that scare anybody a little bit? Sure you're not scared back there? Okay. I like having a list of what I need to know. So, I mean, to me, it's not scary. It's just, hey, let's do this. So this is another quote from Shift here, which is a book that I showed you. To achieve your highest potential, these 6 core competencies must be done consistently and done well. So I think this is probably what most people struggle with a little bit more, is that, and it's what I actually struggle with the most. When I get busy, things tend to fall down a little bit, and a lot of that is going to be my lead generation. It does tend to fall off a little bit when I get busier. When I've got contracts to review and negotiations I'm working on, my lead generation sometimes does fall off. So I do track mine. I should track it manually because I need to have that in front of me. Because if I don't, I will fall off a bit. And when I do look and I'm like, oh, why don't I have this many pending? I look back, it's like, oh, I slacked on my lead generation. It does track. So what is one of the things we get from Bold? The path is in the map. It's true. All right, so little break here. There's a lot we covered in that last little bit. We're going to get in a little bit more details on a couple of things and jump into what fiduciary duty means. But any questions so far on what we've covered? Anything that sticks out to you that's like, they will ask you anytime you do a Keller Williams class, ahas is what they will ask you for every time. Is there anything that stuck out to you as like, oh wow, that was something I hadn't thought about? I think we've talked about quite a few of them as we went, so we won't linger here too long. All right. Now that we've kind of gone through the 6 competencies, in which we'll dig into this a little bit more, we're going to talk about the 2 ways that you can serve your clients as a functionary or as a fiduciary. So functionary might not be something you've heard a whole lot, but we'll go over what the difference between the 2 is. We learned earlier about how it's important to maintain a mindset of being focused on service. Let's imagine doing business with a company, for example, a car repair company, that doesn't really care about your needs. They just focus on getting the job done and getting paid. They don't build a relationship with you or stay in touch during the job or after the job. Now let's imagine doing business with a different car repair company, that one that listens to you, anticipates your needs, helps you make decisions, educates you on the process, acts like a partner in the process, keeps you updated on the status, and even follows up with you after the job. What's the difference? The first one is acting as a functionary. They got the job done, but didn't do much more than that. Second one is acting as a fiduciary. And our job, we're expected to do the second. Any questions on that? I like how this outlines it. I think it makes it pretty clear is that, yeah, we can all sell houses. The first one is a straight transaction. You got them the house, they got in it, they got what they wanted. But second one is actually what a fiduciary is expected to do. And our business is expected to have their fiduciary responsibilities to our clients. Are you keeping up in your book? You're the only one that's kind of flipping. Are you good with on your screen? We're on 2.7 in case you got behind it all. Yeah, I'm big on books too, so. So in the in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, has anybody read that? I know you have, but anybody else? It's another good one if you haven't. They all have them here, which is nice, so you don't have to pay for shipping here. Gary Keller explains, a functionary is one who gets in a specific task relationship with their clients. They do their job. While a fiduciary is one who not only does the task of the job, they're also in a high trust relationship with their clients and feel total responsibility for the outcome. This is especially important in real estate when people are making when they're making their most important, most expensive decision. So that's one thing I always think about is that this is probably the most money that anybody will ever spend in their lifetime. Why would a prospective buyer or seller prefer to work with an agent who presents themselves as a fiduciary versus a functionary? So any ideas on that? Okay, participation, you guys.
Built-in trust.
Yeah.
You show up. You-
Do you have something to add to that? Yeah.
You invited someone to have a mission to help.
Yeah, and that's what they're referring to. They may not, the idea in their head is that the functionary versus fiduciary, but that's what they're saying. Is if it feels transactional to them, it's they're after the money versus building the relationship and helping them through the process. So we want to be that person. That's what gets you the referrals. Transactional gets you a paycheck, but it's not going to get you future referrals. Yeah.
That's a sign call yesterday. I wrote this thing in Sioux Falls, and they're working on it pre-approved. But they said an 1865.
I used to work at Sipsy. That's why I was looking
Well,
at
she said that. That's just appropriate. She said the agent wanted show me homes or help me buy unless I listed their home by home with them. And I'm like, you know, that's a type of option. Someone, you know, so she immediately said, yeah, I just cut her off. She shot herself in the foot. So yeah, trust that not her.
I think that's kind of implied. Like if we're helping a buyer, we want them to list with us, but we've got to earn that trust. It's not expected or given for no reason. We have to earn it.
The listing will come. Get them excited about the buy.
Yeah. Yeah, which one is their priority? If the buying's their priority first, then get them pre-approved and get them moving and get them through that process. If you do well there, then the listing is going to come. So it's, yeah, that's not the way I want to. I can be pushy, but I'm not going to push somebody into listing if they're not ready. But I will have that paperwork with them in case they are.
Something sales about that. Somebody or situation like, if you do this,
Yeah.
then I'll do that. If you don't do this, then I won't.
It's like the killer of negotiation is the ultimatum.
It's like something Sandler sales. It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ultimatums.
Yeah. I'm sure it works for some salespeople, but it's not something I would ever recommend. That's a good example of, yeah, shot yourself in the foot. Like, yeah, you just lost both sides of it because you're too picky on one side. So a fiduciary, and it's always funny when I go through the buyer agreements, one of the things I point out to my clients, and I want all of them to understand this, that a fiduciary has to place their client's needs ahead of others, even their own. So if I will put your needs in front of my own, even if it means I'm not receiving a paycheck. If it means you need to walk away from the contract or even need to cancel this with me, I put your needs in front of my own. And I think it's always at the end, like, well, can I prove that to them if I need to? 100% I have. I've canceled contracts, I've ended agreements, just depending on what that person needed. It's okay. It's not going to end my career. Basically it comes down to it's a win-win or no deal. The transaction does not benefit the client, then we're not going to make it happen. So I think that's a great way to, when you're doing a buyer agreement, to explain it to them. that bottom part of that first page, before you get to all the commission stuff, that has listed out what you do for your buyer. And that's a great place to bring that up, puts them in a good mindset that, yeah, I'm gonna ask you to pay me. I haven't asked you that yet because they haven't gotten to that part yet. But first, I'm gonna tell you what I'm willing to do for you. I can guarantee you in anything that they've dealt with in the past, they have not dealt with someone that was willing to walk away if it didn't benefit them. So, make sense? What time are we at right now? Okay. I can get through all of this. I am running a little bit behind them. I will try to do a little bit quicker. All right. So being a fiduciary is a big deal. We consider it an honor. It's more important than ever in today's market to wear this badge of honor proudly. Helping your clients understand the fiduciary role is a big part of what you offer as an agent. It does say let's talk about examples, but I think we already did that. So, and I love that example of what you just talked about of forcing them into something that they don't want to do. All right, so now we're going to talk about the manage the money core competency. But probably the one that is not the one that we are the most familiar with, because probably not one that's brought up the most. When I talk about managing money, it means being responsible about how you handle your own finances. Would you trust somebody with a high dollar purchase if they cannot manage their own finances? And basically, I would say, of course I would. In addition to giving you validity, managing your own money leads to financial security. Financial security provides you the freedom to be discerning about which real estate transactions you become involved in or not. So when you're able to make a decision not based on the financial benefit to you, you can be a true fiduciary. So by managing your own money, you're able to act better as a confident real estate agent. Does that make sense? I think that's something that it's that mindset when you need money, are you going to actually act in the best interest of your client? You hope so, but there's that can be that doubt in your mind that if I need that paycheck, am I going to cancel it the day before closing? It's a hard decision. We all got to look and see what we really do. There's times when you can choose to decline a deal because it doesn't allow you to remain in high integrity with yourself and your clients. When you do get in those situations, I would go back to that list of they call them the WI4C2TES, that list of things that we would think about. It's a guidepost for knowing how to serve as a fiduciary for your client. So when you do get in those positions where you're like, I'm trying to make a decision, I'm not sure. Seriously, that's one thing you can do. Read through those list of the things that are important, which when we talk about the win-win or no deal, integrity, to do the right thing. Customers always come first, commitment in all things, communication. You seek first to understand. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. Equity is opportunities for all, and success results through people. So those are things to keep in mind if you ever get yourself in a position of making a hard decision. So how do you think being a good fiduciary can take you from just being a good agent to a great agent?
Or being a master than
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It makes you feel like you've got that upper level of understanding of what you're doing. Yeah, good answer. All right.
Yesterday, first call, and I do, we had calls, so. That's a region, so. I think that's just let's just say you're listening to work with a buyer, that's one more of a functionary, just helping the buyer fill out paperwork, it's more functionality. Rather than advising, counseling.
I think that is, I mean, we hit it on the head there, just listening. Yeah, really understanding what they need and where they're coming from is very important to being a fiduciary.
the saying 2 years in one mouth. It's the appropriate
Yeah, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one in a while. Yeah, and it's hard to do sometimes, especially in high stress situations. So we got this tip for it. So, all right. So one of the things that want to make sure that we get through because you all were very curious about this is the success system. So we're going to kind of go through what that means. And by success system, what they're talking about is your day-to-day activities. So in case I hadn't clued in there. So we're going to talk about, and actually in the full Ignite class, which they don't do here, they actually do this for 2 hours every day after the class. So if you want to really get into like what this Ignite is supposed to do, is set aside 2 hours every day, and I'll walk you through how those 2 hours should break down. That is what that's intended to do, is every day to do this for 2 hours, your success system. So basically today, without leads, you won't have a business. So you have to have leads in order to have a business. And the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Gary Keller, says, what you have to embrace is the fact that the number of qualified leads you have, that it is the number of qualified leads you have that will either grow your business, keep your business, or put you out of business. Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have. So you can put money in marketing, you can put money in a lot of other things, in clothing or in transportation or whatever you want to put it into, but leads is where you're going to have the most impact on your business. Although lead generation and follow-up are the most important priorities you have when running and growing your business, sometimes you may feel uncomfortable to do this, especially as a new agent. Feeling at ease when talking to people you know and don't know about how you know and don't know about how you can help them with their real estate needs as a skill that takes time to develop. One of the best ways to feel more comfortable communicating with potential leads is by role playing and practicing the most common conversations you will have with your clients, potential clients, and other agents involved in a real estate transaction. It is also imperative to have an accountability system in place in order to support your consistency in lead generation follow-up. So how many of you have done role play when it comes to conversations with lead generation? Anybody? Yeah. It's actually, I mean, it sounds always weird, but it's definitely helpful. Do highly recommend it. And the other part they're talking about is being accountable. Accountable people will achieve results other people can only dream of. What that means is basically when you have someone you're going to be accountable to, it's going to push you to be more consistent, do things on a more consistent basis. Very important to have an accountability partner. And accountability is a process. It's difficult to maintain drive over long term. A lot of books that you'll read will say that drive is not something that you can actually just make happen. It's something that doesn't happen naturally, and it's very hard to keep it going for any long period of time. So you have to have something to keep you going. Having an accountability partner can be that person. And accountability is about getting and implementing feedback. So it's great to get the feedback, so you have to be able to take that feedback and implement it into what you're doing every day. Go into a little bit more about what accountability partners do. They should provide a safe place to share. So it should be not judgmental, it should be a safe place to talk about. We're on 2.9. I'm skipping ahead a little bit because we're running out of time, so I want to make sure we hit all the high points. So follow through with any of the action items that are assigned. Listen and pay attention while the other person shares. So try to not continually input, just listen while they're talking. Set a frequency of checking in with each other. Dig deep to find out why you do the things you do. Respect each other in the process. Create a commitment and stick to it. Be open to receiving feedback. Give specific feedback and have each other's best interest in mind. So these are the different things that they want to talk about you should do with the accountability partner. Sounds like a big list, but if you do have an accountability partner, I would keep this list in mind as you're going through and talking to them. Oh, makes sense? Always so much information. So the next step is to sit with each other and do an accountability. Would you guys prefer to work with an accountability partner in here, or would you prefer to do a role play? If you only have time to do one or the other. You guys in agreement with that? Do an accountability practice? Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. I just don't know that we'll try to get both in, but we're down to about 10 minutes. I don't want to I'm letting you choose which one that we might not be able to get to. All right, so I'm giving you some guidelines real quick. Sorry. You guys, did you guys pick one in class yesterday? Okay, that was an option to do, so they must not have done that part. So take a moment to find somebody. We don't have even numbers, so you'll have to have a threesome and a twosome. Preferably not the people you did earlier, mix it up a little bit. So take a moment to introduce yourself to your partner. Write their name and information in your participation guide or somewhere in your things. Once you found a partner, decide, and you don't have to do this every single time, but they are going to ask you to follow up with that partner at least once after this class. See if it's something that you want to do on a regular basis. If you don't want to, it's okay. But this is going to be how you would, it's supposed to be like an initial meeting with an accountability partner. So treat it like you actually are going to follow up even if you choose not to. Okay? So write down their information, write down when the next meeting is going to be and what you're going to talk about. Yeah.
I feel like that, it's like, team. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yes, at some point.
I definitely think.
How far away are
Yeah. So I actually just took it last and myself out. I only went into it so I think that really yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, I think I shouldn't. But now that I'm taking it, yeah. But yes. Yeah. And it's something that I think that's
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
I know. She's great. I actually think this is my cheer coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so he's so
Yeah. It's very nice.
yes.
Yeah.
Smart.
He's very good.
So what are our accountability
Conversation
goals?
is a lot.
Uh,
Just me.
so,
Um, I think a lot of, I will do it.
Yeah.
We're still going, it's, Embrace Your Job. Yeah.
Is really follow the system. I have a lot of things set up, so now it's just following the system.
I didn't know that.
Well, I like the whole 10 minutes. It's like 10 conversations, 10 contacts added, 10 handwritten notes, 10 fire one social media. And then there's enrichments.
So, you know,
Yeah.
Frequency of accountability check-ins. Do we want to have like a text? Do we want once a week, once a day? Maybe we name our little group something too in the text. Put a little image in there so we can see it in our text feed. We'll find it.
What are the next steps?
Daytime location for accountability, something you kind of check in, just. I don't think that's like simple, right? So we can check in here. We just want to like touch base with the text and schedule.
I think that's fine. I try to get that classes. Some coincide.
And then we can put you in and just do whatever. So we'll just have that meeting.
Okay.
And then any additional notes.
All right, I'm gonna have you guys, get back together so we can kind of touch on a couple of quick things real quick before we end, because I do like to end on time, even if we missed a couple of things. To kind of give you an idea real quick, what we didn't get to today, I do apologize, I'm, trying to get to as much as I could. And to the small groups, I'm not gonna have everybody share, but you guys could kind of hear what each other were talking about, but I did like what I was hearing. It sounded like you guys were really getting into it. This is your daily success system. I know you guys can look at like 500 different ways to do this. If you don't have a system yet, just use this as it stands. Don't rethink the system. Don't go crazy trying to come up with 100 different plans. This is a very good, simple plan that will get you started. I would say don't change the system until you've used it and know where you need to change it. So very simple, straightforward. 10 conversations had each day, 10 contacts added. Sounds like a lot, but not too bad. 10 handwritten notes. I know that sounds like a lot, but just try it. 10-5-1 social media engagement. Means liking 10 posts, sharing 5 posts, and creating 1. Is that correct? I might have to look that one up. Sorry. Yeah, meant to look that up and I did not. That's one. And enrichments just means things like this, other things to enrich what you're already doing. So, make sense? Start somewhere. Don't rethink the system until you know what you're doing. Okay? Feedback. This is where you do the evaluations. I would really, really appreciate it because I do need them to go towards my training. I am not in there yet. So when it does a drop down, you'll have to instruct instructor not in drop down and then type in my name. Pretty simple, straightforward name, Jennifer Baldwin. Like the piano, locks, actors, whatever you want to think of. I do appreciate that very much. If you do that, you'll be in to win the Shift book, which I really do recommend reading, but I haven't finished it myself.
Thank you, you were fabulous. I liked
Thank
your
you.
style and the open conversation.
Yeah, and that's why we got a little behind, so I think that's probably my weakness. I need to control that a little bit.
Not at all, you're human. Congrats on Catholic.
Oh, thank you. It was kind of funny that that happened yesterday. It's like going into teach and I capped yesterday. What do we do? So really the next couple of things that were on here, just to kind of run through, just goes into a little bit more detail on the what the Ford is. Oops, I'm hitting the wrong thing. Go forward. How to do role play. So basically, if you're going to do a 2-hour thing, this will be the last thing we talk about. So I know they're waiting for me to get to the meeting. The way they want you to break it down, if you do 2 hours in a day, is the first 20 minutes is doing role play. The second 10 minutes is preparing a call list for the day. 45 minutes of making calls and 30 minutes of updating your database. So that's your 2 hours every day. So pretty simple, straightforward. So it's not 2 hours of lead gen, it's 2 hours of just lead gen activity. So that's what you would put down. All right. Now, a couple minutes over, but not too bad. Tomorrow's class is Connect with the Market. It's going to be with Sarah Brooks. I've heard she's awesome. I'm going to try to be here. I'm not sure if I'll make it or not. But have a wonderful day. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Good. Yeah. Just a couple minutes over. I was trying to watch the clock, but
You're good.
there's a lot of good questions.
They do have good questions.
Very good
don't they?
questions. Yes. I
And
love
with a
that.
good instructor, that encourages them to ask good questions, and you guys get good answers, and then you have a good day.
Exactly. So I think it went very well.
How are you? Doing very well. How's the wife?
Good.
Yeah? Good.
I'm going to, for her birthday, we just the other day, I got us tickets to Broadway, and we go on December to watch the mother. Yeah, so like, we're back in Europe, and we're planning the next,
Have you ever been to Manhattan at Christmas time?
yeah.
Oh,
Very good.
Yeah, that's
so fun.
Yeah, trying a little bit.
It's so fun.
Like asking questions at the beginning, and I'm like, I told you, so now you gotta pick either we're gonna do accountability or we're gonna do role play. Like, what accountability? Okay. So it was, ran out of time a little bit, but that's okay. Hey, unhook the click thing. I unplugged the mouse and
Was it this one right
click
here?
thing, yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
And then the mouse thing is just right there. Try to not move it too far so it wouldn't disappear on you. You're welcome.
These are not expensive.
Where is the